work-life balance strategies for teachers. Let's go ahead, please. So let's look at the significance of mental health. We are teachers, and one of the major importances of our mental health is that we make sure that our education system encompasses the student, emotional and social well-being. It is very crucial to enhance their performance and fostering positive relationships while promoting a supportive environment. TSC normally tells us we have clients, right? And those clients are the students. And this is the people we deal with every day. Apart from those clients, we have our colleagues in the staff room. And these colleagues are people we deal with every day. If you don't have a good working relationship with your colleagues, it is going to affect how you deliver in class, right? If you're not going to have a good relationship with your students, it is going to affect how you behave to your colleagues in the staff rooms. And if you don't have a good relationship at work, you're going to carry it where? Home. And I believe teachers, we don't work from 8 to 5. You're always working 24/7. Number two, if your mental health is okay, it is the cornerstone for success in education because it influences both teaching and learning, and that is the core business that we normally do in school. And it is important for teachers to have that strong mental health where they can improve their management skills in class and also their engagement with all the other people they engage with in school. It is also important because it is going to support the academic success of our students, which is always what we are fighting for. I've not interacted so much with CBC, but yesterday you said you either exceed expectations or you do not meet expectations. So imagine you are exceeding expectations at work, but at home, in Africa, at least 31% of the educators, they are depressed. And in Kenya, 30% of teachers have mental health challenges. So if you are 100 here, at least 30 of us are not doing well. So kindly look at your neighbor and ask them, how happy are you today? So as you ask that question, also think about yourself. How happy are you sitting with us right here discussing these issues? And let's look at the dimensions that brings about these issues that we call burnout among us teachers. Sorry about my dad. He always gave out his bicycle, even when he needed it for himself. But when someone comes to borrow it, he does what? He gives it away. So he'd rather walk to school on that day. Because the moment you don't give it, they'll be like, huyu ni mwalimu na hataki kufanya nini? Kusaidia. When there are those contributions, watasema lazima mwalimu atoe mchango wake. We also have the achievement of high performance. We are always expected to give the best performance. Today I was talking to one of the ladies outside and I was watching a show on NTV, and the lady said that he blames teachers for students failing. He says that teachers should find the best way to teach a student so that all of them can pass the exam. Do you think that is correct? Do you think that is correct? He says that actually just because one student got an A and others are getting E's, then it means the method the teacher used to teach the student who got an A was personalized for that student. So the teacher should find a way to teach the other 99 students for them also to get A's. And number 3, bridging of social gaps. Bridging of social gaps. You have now to transit. Teachers are mentors always. Once students have done their Form 4s, the parents in the village will come to you and ask you, what are the best courses for my students to do what? What are the best courses for my students to pursue? Ukifika pale kazini unaanza kuangalia timetable yako na I'll not attend lesson 2, I'll rest. Ikifika lesson 6, you're still very tired. You say I'll rest. And you'll now get, we normally have those attendance registers being signed. By the end of the week, you have not taught most of your lessons. And then you have headache. Most of the time you have headache. And lastly, you have sleep problems. You're at home, but you're just thinking about schoolwork. So you can't sleep. You can say you have insomnia. Then you have behavioral signs. You now get disengaged. I speak of these signs in their order. We start with emotions, physical, and behavioral. Yeah, you disengaged completely. Now you're not going to work. You go for 3 days. The rest of the 2 days, you start an early weekend. Next week, you start the week on Tuesday. You go for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and early weekend. We have absenteeism, and we have decline in productivity. Students are taking up their assignments, but you're not marking them, you're not grading them. And during the 844 system, tunaanza kuforge marks. Tunasema huyu mwanafunzi huwa anapata 80%. I'm quite sure wacha leo nimwekee 70. Another students wacha nimwekee 50. So you just guess their marks and put them there. Sindio? Because you cannot now do your work as you used to do. Now, having said that, how can we be able to manage our work-life balance to ensure that you meet expectations at work and you meet expectations at home? Or if you're exceeding expectations at work, you also exceed expectations at home to make sure that you have that balance that you require. And I'll agree with you that it is very hard for you to get that balance. It's not an easy task. My head of institution is quite old. And sometimes I'm sleeping at 10 p.m. and he calls me, Mwalimu, are you asleep? And I'm like, I was just about to sleep. And he tells me, I've received a form from the sub-county director. Kindly help me fill it up and send it right away, right now, because it was supposed to be sent by today, 5 p.m. So I have to wake up, get on my laptop, fill the form, send it to him. He calls again. You've made a mistake. Kindly rectify it. By the time you are finishing filling that form, it's 12 midnight. So I don't know, will I be paid for that extra time that I'm working at home? And that is what most of us normally do, right? The offices normally calls you anytime they feel to call you. But you are not supposed to call the office anytime you feel like calling. That is the irony. They can call you anytime they feel like calling, especially during these issues of exam periods. They just call you. We've decided to reshuffle the invigilators. And you have to listen to them at that particular time. They call you, we are coming for supervision tomorrow, and you have to listen to them. But the moment you call them any other time, they'll be like, kindly call me tomorrow. They don't care if it's an emergency or what you're undergoing through. And that's why I'm really appreciating Kewota, because I believe if you call Kewota such like a time and you have pressing issues, I believe they'll always try to find a way for you, because it's a welfare. Now, work-life balance is basically having that equilibrium between individuals' professional responsibilities and personal life. It will involve you being effectively in managing your time. Today you said you should come here at 8. I was here at 7:58. And most of the time, you know the time you came in. And you need to have the energy so that neither work nor your personal responsibilities or activities can dominate the other thing, ensuring there is a well-being in both sides. A normal human being, we all have 24 hours a day, right? 24 hours. Nobody has 25 hours. Yet some of us have time to manage our businesses. We have time to call our friends and check up on them. We have time to have those sweet social gatherings, chamas, and talk our issues, right? If there are other people, you call them and they're like, I'm very busy, I can't meet. They can't even get 1 minute of calling you. And yet both of you have how many hours? 24 hours. Of these 24 hours, 8 hours you are at work. 8 hours, the doctor says you're supposed to be sleeping so that you can refresh yourself. Now, you're only left with how many hours? 8 hours. And these 8 hours, we call them 8 hours of everything. You live on the other side of town, you work on the other side of town. Kuna jam. Iko kwa hiyo 8 hours. You like being spiritually nourished. It is in that 8 hours. You'd like to watch a movie. It is in that 8 hours. So the huge balance comes in managing the 8 hours of everything else, because the 8 hours of work has been taken care of. The employer needs you there for 8 hours. The 8 hours of sleep has been taken care of. You'll have to sleep at some point. But this remaining 8 hours of everything is what we juggle in between. And you can see at the center, we have a very small dot, meaning if you take any half a minute from either side, it means that dot does what? Moves to that side. If you take 1 hour from sleep, it means you are left with 7 hours, right? So that dot keeps on moving. So how efficient are we in ensuring that that dot remains at the center? And I still repeat, it takes time, and you have to manage your time effectively. No minus, no addition. You decide I'm going to meet someone for 10 minutes, it's 10. How to achieve that balance? Time allocation. My time allocation gives sufficient time for both work and personal pursuits. The personal pursuits include families, hobbies, rest, and self-care. And I stress on self-care. When is the last time did you do an analysis of yourself to understand where you stand currently mentally? When is the last time you did that? Or tunaamka tu tunasonga mbele? You'll wait until that day you feel like I think I cannot move ahead anymore. It's when you want to now do a self-check. When is the last time did you just spend an entire maybe 2 hours or 3 hours with your family just talking and being with them to bond? When is the last time did you go and see, maybe just talk to a therapist, not because you have a problem, but you just want to keep your mental health okay? When is the last time did you do something good for yourself? Because for you to receive good things, you must be good to yourself. So when is the last time, wakati mshahara kaliingia, did you tell yourself, thank you for working so hard this month? They said that men are the ones who are good at doing that. Anaenda pale kwa choma zone, anasema nichomee nusu. And then he comes home with the toothpick. And then he says, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. Such that he wants to eat what has been cooked at home. But ameambia mwili pole kwingine. Sindio? So it's always good as we do good things to ourselves, let us always remember those people who are around us, especially family. Most of the time, the last people to stand with you are always your family, right? When you undergo challenges, you have mental issues, you go see a psychiatrist. When you are being discharged, they'll always ask you for one person. They'll tell you, kindly bring the closest person you have. And most of the closest person is I called the TSC a wellness line. So they told me, if you need support, you have to come from Kilifi to Nairobi and make sure you come with someone. So imagine maybe the mental issues I'm having are caused by financial issues. So how am I going to move two people from Kilifi to come and visit a wellness center or to come and talk to a wellness person at TSC just to get myself going? You see, that is already a challenge. So the people who are close to you are always the ones who most of the time will always find solutions for you because they know you. Number two, emotional fulfillment. It's not just about mental and emotional separation. A balance of life allows you to disconnect from work once you leave work and you connect to your personal life. And as you leave your personal life coming to work, you do what? You connect, unless in cases of emergencies. If you're able to connect and disconnect, then you are a step closer to achieving a good work-life balance. And by connecting and disconnecting, I mean, know when it's time to work and know when to have your personal issues. There was a video going on sometimes back at school rank. I think it was people were really laughing. I was in a group and people were like, kumbe walimu wanaweza kuwa wajinga hivi. People are just throwing comments. We also had a colleague of ours who had an issue with his salary and he was not getting salary. So during the COVID, because shule kulikuwa na some remedial, so at least he could in one of the just a neighbor to the school that we used to teach. Everybody nowadays like with their camera. Wewe ni mwalimu, kwa nini ulikuwa unaiba? Umeiba mara ngapi? And it was doing rounds on social media. And people were really ridiculing him. Told him, you've been stealing things from this family. And people did not, because this guy had turned into alcoholism. He used to go to the drinking dens. So they asked him, why were you stealing the cassava? He was hungry. But they still crucified him. Like that. They took him to the police station. He received a thorough beating. But I'm happy because the head of institution was enough. He really worked so hard back to his home county, closer to his people, and they secured him a place in a rehabilitation center. And the teacher is doing very well. The teacher could not hold it anymore. After that incident, we came back to school. He never came to school because part of the people who caught him were his students. How do you stand before your students and yet they head you in another scenario. Then number 3, there is issue of workplace flexibility. A life that is normally dependent on individuals' ability to manage professional duties in a way that they can accommodate their personal needs. I think Madam Peter said that we have 14 days. You can dilly-dally if you're not feeling that well. That is part of the workplace flexibility. If you don't feel okay, there's no need of you going to work because there's nothing you're going to do. Even if you're going to teach, I believe those students and the students are very smart. They'll always know when the teacher is not okay because they know how their teacher teaches. And then lastly, personal well-being. And I'll insist on this. You need to improve your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. For teachers, it is quite hard to find the balance and to avoid long-term effects of stress and burnout, ensuring that you maintain your health while meeting your demands at work. Ensure that your health at the same time you are meeting your demands at work. Maybe most of the time when teachers are elevated or any other person, the other day we and that is the first time people saw his. That first time people saw his. If one of the teachers is nominated as the nation of the world, right? That is the day you'll see his family, her family. So when you're able to balance that, then it means at least the people who are close to you also success. Because when you get this nomination, they'll always tell you kindly bring up your family. But if you've not been meeting expectations at home, but at work you are meeting the expectations, it won't be a good show. Now start having dramas. That is the time if you're a man, your wife will want a divorce because there's a calamity there. That is the time they'll start calling in for what? For child support. If you are a lady, that's the time the husband that left you maybe for 3 years come back. Because that is when everybody comes back at a particular time. Because you are not making attention. You go home, your spouse has a very serious issue to discuss with you, but you are marking. You are just marking. You are just marking. And for those who teach in schools of deadlines, you know very well. You finish exam today, after 2 days, deadline. Results are supposed to be there. So I normally ask myself, that's why I normally say it's quite hard for teachers to balance that. You have 100 students, you have 4 classes. You are supervising the exam, you are not supposed to mark while you are supervising. So at what time do you mark these papers? At what time? You have now to take some 2 hours from your everything else. And that's why it comes in also to have supportive partners because they'll understand. If you are always available and you meet expectations at home, they'll understand. But if they don't understand, they'll have a rough time. Someone was making a joke and saying that someone said a slay queen met a teacher in a bar. She got pregnant. Then it becomes quite challenging to manage that family. Let's look at the challenges that we are able to achieve. Workload, I've talked about it. Multiple responsibilities, especially if you're teaching in a small school with very few teachers. Class teacher, HOD, HOS, everything. You all have the titles. And when the quality assurance come, they want all the files neat and clean. So imagine that is the day most of us normally get sick because you are heading at least 5 departments. You need all the files clean. They need also your subject area. They need all the files. It becomes quite challenging. And then you have constant preparation. You're always in constant preparation. And that's why the digital issues come in. I believe nowadays we have schemes that are generated digitally. We have lesson plans that are generated digitally, right? You only customize them to suit your needs. We also have emotional labor where you support your students and you also have to manage your behavior. It becomes quite challenging. Societal expectations whereby you have pressure to perform and community involvement. I said Mwalimu is always part of everything in the village. There is nothing especially if you live in the village. At least in town, you will skip a little bit. But as long as you live in the village, and if you live in town, your village people will always do what? Call and tell you this is happening. And then you have lack of support. We have lack of support for teachers. We have limited resources, and we have professional isolation. Sometimes teachers are just isolated in their profession. And then we have rigid scheduling. We have fixed hours of work, and we have after-school commitments. And then lastly, personal life demands, where you have the family responsibilities. That's why I say we must have a family that is supportive. And lastly, we neglect self-care. Wewe ni kazi, kazi, kazi. You don't want to take care of yourself. And what does this lead us to? The consequences of this imbalance. Number one, you have reduced job satisfaction. After that, you'll have mental and emotional stress. Thereafter, you'll have strained personal relationships. And lastly, you'll have declined physical health. Wanasema unakula lakini haufanyi nini? Haunoni, haunenepi. So it becomes a challenge. And how can we support teachers towards achieving this balance? How can we support the teachers towards achieving this balance? Promoting mental health awareness. That is what Kewota is doing, and that's what I normally do. I promote mental health awareness through workshops and trainings like this one. And I believe at some point we need to have curriculum integration of mental health for teachers in our syllabus. And then lastly, awareness campaigns, because currently what we have is mental health for the students and not for the teachers. Students first, teachers, you are nowhere to be found. And then let's create open and supportive environments. Let's have open communication channels. Let's have peer support. Talk to a colleague. Issues of mental health is not an issue that you walk alone. Talk to a colleague, talk to a friend. And then lastly, creation of safe spaces. Where I work, I've created a safe space. I have a room and I have quite a number of books on mental health. When a teacher comes in there and he tells me that I want to use your office, I always walk out and I leave them there to do everything that they feel to do. I make sure that they have at least tea in the office. They have something to bite in the office. I love cooking, so every day in my office, there's always something to bite. And teachers can come there and do whatever they have to do just to make sure that their mental health is okay. Even if they want to cry. There's a time colleagues were coming to work, and a colleague come to work, they have challenges at home, and they just get to work. The first thing they do, they start crying, and colleagues were laughing at them. And then lastly, school leaders should also come in hand and support us in ensuring that we support mental health through policy developments that actually help us in managing our mental health issues. You also have collaborative approaches. Ukileta, as if you are a head teacher or the head of institution, ukileta mtu wa kuongelesha wanafunzi, pia leta mtu wa kuongelesha walimu. They go hand in hand. And then leading by example. A leader who prioritizes their mental health will always ensure that their descendants also prioritize their mental health issues. Your individual techniques, please. Your individual techniques. Number one, time management and prioritization. Hii mambo ya kupigiwa simu naambiwa kuna sherehe mahali. Unaweza tokea, unasema tunaenda. Prioritize. If it's not a priority, don't do it. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries. Know your limits. Know your limits. Especially in finances. I normally say this. Kopesha, pesa unajua you are easy to lose. You are at liberty. If ukipeana 1,000, you are easy to lose it, then okay. Number 3, self-care practices, which include exercise, relaxation, and hobbies. And then lastly, seeking help. Seeking counseling help and peer support. And most importantly, have a good diet. Have a good diet. Do everything. I normally say this to people and they laugh. Huwa nasema, mimi nataka ninone, hadi nikifa watu wagawani nguo zangu. Because the only thing you go with is your body. Your wealth is divided on immediately, even before you are buried. So have a good diet. And I'll finish up by calling to action. Let us implement mental health programs in schools. Let us provide resources in schools. And lastly, let us encourage open dialogues that are non-judgmental. I'll leave it there, but I'll leave you with this quote. That the moment we begin to be ignorant about the little things in life it's when we begin to crumble. The moment we begin to be ignorant of the little things in life is the moment we begin to crumble. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'll end it there. But in case you have any other questions, you can follow me on my social media handles, Teacher Buluku Splinter, and soon we are launching a blog that I'll be sharing it with the Kewota team for us to be able to encourage each other more. Thank you so much.
Asante sana, asante sana. Mr. Buluku, before you leave, situmpige makofi tena. Allow me to recognize the presence of the National Treasurer. Karibu sana. So, I would like the executive again to come in front. I would like to call the executive. I'm sorry, my chair. Tafadhali munisaidie nisifukuzwe kazi. Thank you. Allow me to recognize the presence of our national chairperson, not chairman, chairperson, Madam Modesta Akaki, karibu. And also allow me to recognize the presence of our beautiful Madam CEO, Madam Beta Opande. So kindly let come forward all the executives so that we can have a photo with our wonderful presenter. The executive, kindly. All the executives, the three. DJ, tuendelee. As they are coming in, I would like Madam Grace from Barkowino kuwa karibu na wale watoto wetu. Katikati, usipotelee side moja. Asante sana, asante sana. Now, the executive can remain on stage. Grace, na wale watoto wetu, kindly come forward. Mwingine akuje, where's the sister? Asante DJ. So, there's a reason why I've called the three to join the executive. So, the young girl on a black blouse or a t-shirt, she's one of the students. Yes, with the blouse on black, branded with a white color. She's one of the students that Kewota supports in her education. Standing next to her on the right is the mother, and now the one standing to the left of our Madam CEO is the sister. And the sister decided, since Kewota is doing a good job, I have to do a poem for Kewota. And I think all of you heard it. Sindio? So, I would like the three executives to present a gift to this beautiful poet. Na endelee kufanya hivyo hivyo. The mother and the sister, kindly help her receive the gift as you take the photo. DJ. Asante sana. Bado executive wabaki. Sawa. Madam Jacqueline from. Okay, allow me to remain with Madam Treasurer. Madam Jacqueline from Eon Minute. You did a wonderful presentation. Kindly come forward for your gift. Madam Treasurer, kindly remain behind to Awada so that she can go and advocate for us to have a seat at the Eon Minute board. DJ.
Nimekuchagua wewe nikupende mama, sitaki mwingine, aushi usiniache, usinitende mama, usipende mwingine. Moyo wangu ni mwepesi, umenikalia chapati, nafanya vituko kama chizi, kukupenda sitasizi. Moyo wangu ni mwepesi, umenikalia chapati, nafanya vituko kama chizi, kukupenda sitasizi.
Asante sana. Asante Madam Treasurer. Yes, you can now have your seat. So hello, tumesikiza mambo na mental health, very important, si ndio? So tutilie manani, let's get assistance whenever we can. Sawa. So at this juncture, I would like to make a request. I've been told by the exhibitors here that they have fresh products and awards for you, the gifts. So kindly, as you leave for the help